everyone, welcome to Gate Academy. So we are going to cover data types. Let me explain data types. Sir, what kind of data we need in general? Sir, in mathematics we have numbers, and more specifically we have different kind of numbers. For example, we have numbers without a decimal point, like 9, 3, -4, -101, like that. And we could have numbers with a decimal point, like 9.3, -17.89, like 9.8. Okay. Sir, even in programming, when we used to write programs, what we need input. The input could be number also, and in the same way, that number could be without a decimal point or it could be with a decimal point. For example, if you are implementing some physics formula like S is equal to ut plus half at square or plus half gt square, then g, that is the value of gravity, is acceleration due to gravity, is 9.8. That means what we need? We need a data with a decimal point. Try to understand. Sir, just like mathematics, in programming also, what we need? We need numbers. That number could be without a decimal point and the number could be with a decimal point. It depends what kind of programs we are interested in. So in programming also, we have two type of data. We have two data types for these kind of numbers. For a number without a decimal point in programming, what we call it as? We call it as integer number. We call it as integer number. And a number with a decimal point in programming, we call it as a floating point number. Call it as floating point number. So we have two data types, like integer data type and floating point number. Okay, sir. What else we could have? What kind of data? Sir, we could have data in the form of text. We could have data in the form of text. For example, let us suppose in some program I need to enter my name, Pankaj. What is it? Is it a number? No. What is it? It is text kind of data. And for text kind of data in programming, we have a data type related to this text type of data, and that data type is called as character data type. Character data type. That can hold one symbol, please. That can hold one symbol. That means, sir, in programming, character data type can hold one symbol. Sir, what is a symbol? For example, if I ask you A, what is A? One symbol. What is B? Sir, it is again one symbol. Sir, but here it is 6 symbols. We will discuss how a character data type can hold a sequence of symbols. We will discuss it later. But as of now, sir, text related to implement, to handle textual data in programming, in C programming, what we have character data type. To handle numeric data, what we have? Integer data type as well as floating point data type. Sir, the important point over here is character data type can store one symbol only. That symbol could be @, that symbol could be hash, that symbol could be A, that symbol could be B. So as of now, sir, integer data type, floating point data type and character data type. Okay, done. Sir, What is integer data type? What is float data type? How we will handle textual data? We will discuss them later. As of now, you need to understand there is something called as integer data type to handle whole numbers. There is something called as floating point data type to handle numbers with a decimal point. There is something called as character data type to handle textual data. Please note it down. Please note it down. Think for a moment so that we will move ahead quickly. Sir, but what is data type? Sir, okay. We get to know integer, float and textual data, but the big question is, what is a data type? What it inform? What is data type? What is data type? ठीक है, sir, data type to handle different types of data. What we need, every programming language must have some facility to handle data types or data of different type. That is perfectly fine. But what actually data type does? Sir, a data type tells two things. Sir, where to store the data? Inside a variable. Where to store the data? Inside a variable. That means a data type informs two things to the compiler. What are those two things? The very first thing is how much memory is occupied or given to a variable. That means, sir, every data type requires some space, some memory. For example, you are making notes in your notebook. Every subject need different number of pages to make notes. Similarly, every data type, basically every variable, because the data type is related to a variable. That means, sir, when we attach a data type to a variable, it specifies two things. The very first thing, how much memory is occupied by that particular variable. Okay. And the second thing it specifies is what are the values allowed to store in that variable. Sir, data type is related to variable. Please note it down. Okay, let me give an example. For example, sir, if I say int a semicolon, sir, every statement in C program is terminated by semicolon. Sir, what is this a? Actually, name of a variable, named identity of a memory location, and that is why it is also called as identifier. Okay. Why we attach this int with this variable? Because this int represents the data type of this variable. Int is the data type of this variable a. That means in this it is specified two things. Whenever you do something like this, the very first thing is, sir, how much memory is allocated to variable a? Some memory, 1, 2, 4 bytes. We will discuss that later on. That means, but the good thing is, it specifies that this much amount of memory is occupied by a. Okay. And the second thing it specifies is, what are the values allowed to store in that variable? Because once we have attached int with a, that means, sir, what are the values allowed inside that container? What are the values this container or this box or this variable can hold, this location can hold? If I ask you, can I store 10 here? Yes, sir, because 10 is a integer. Can I store 12 here? Of course. But can I store 16.79? No, sir. Not exactly I can store 16.79. Even if we try to store, there is something, sir, what is getting stored? Exactly 16.79 will not be stored inside A. We will discuss what will be stored, but as of now, sir, the only allowed values that can be stored inside this variable are of type numbers without a decimal point. Number without a decimal point. Okay, sir. Two things we need to tell the compiler, sir, this is the variable name that is called as identifier. We have attached int. Sir, compiler knows about int. Yes. Compiler recognize this int and it get to knows, oh, okay, A can hold only values, only numbers without a decimal point. This is, sir, why we are doing all this? Because we need to tell the compiler that what are the allowed values that goes inside the container whose name is A. Okay. So only allowed values are without a decimal point. What? We are informing to the compiler. Okay, sir, how can we declare a variable to hold decimal point number? Okay, sir, we need to write something like this: float b. Sir, for floating point number, what we need to attach? Sir, what is b here? Sir, b is name of a variable. What is b? B is name of variable. It is of our choice. And that is also called as identifier. Sir, what happens with this? Sir, with this, inside memory, a location is there. A location will be created with some space. Sir, data type tells two things. Every data type tells two things to the compiler. What? How much space? That means some space is there. We will discuss later on. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about anything. Okay. And this must have some address, but as of now, we need not to care about this address. This box or this location has a name. That is why variable name is also called as named identity. It is representing a named identity of a location. That means the identity of this box is B. And the second thing, what are the values that can goes inside this box? Sir, float value like 17.89, like 18.93. Okay. So, sir, what is this called? This is called as declaration. Sir, declaration. In real life, how we used to declare? I declare that this is blah blah blah. Then why this is called as declaration? Sir, C is statically typed language. What does that mean? Sir, we need to create a variable before using it. That means you cannot use A in your program without declaring it. You need to declare a variable first. You need to tell the compiler first. So, what is this? We are telling the compiler, what is this? Declaration. For whom this declaration is? For the compiler. So, whenever you write something like this, int A, you are saying something like this: oh, compiler, I am declaring that I am going to use a variable with name A, and it is of type integer. Whenever you use float B, sir, what is this? This is declaration. This is called as declaration. Basically, what we are doing, we are telling the compiler, oh, compiler, I am going to use a variable whose name is B and that can handle, or whose type is floating point. That means what are the values that goes inside B? Sir, floating point values. So what is this called? This is called as declaration. Sir, what is declaration? How we can declare? Sir, int A, okay, declaration of an integer variable. Sir, float B, declaration of a floating point number. Sir, correct, char ch. Sir, ch, don't worry, this is only variable name. Sir, can a variable name be of two length? Yes, of course it is. We will talk about the rules or naming convention of a variable. Okay. Sir, character data type. That means if I ask you, what is the general syntax? Syntax, I hope everyone remember. What is the general rule for a declaration? Sir, data type, then identifier, and then semicolon. What could be data type? A data type could be integer. It could be float to handle numbers with a decimal point, to handle number without a decimal point, and for textual data, it could be any character. Okay. What is an identifier? Sir, identifier is nothing but name we choose for a variable. Okay. And what is this? Sir, this is semicolon. So that's about declaration of an identifier. That's about declaration of an identifier. Okay. I hope everything is okay now. Everything is okay now. Then, sir. That means what we are going to cover next? Sir, what are different types of data? So broadly, if you ask me, sir, how we can classify all data types in any programming language? How we can identify, how we can classify a data type? So broadly, a data type can be of three types. This is a broad classification. This is classification of data type. So broadly, we can classify data type in three categories. First one is primitive data type. Primitive data type. Okay. Then the second one is derived data type. We will discuss everything in detail. Don't worry, as of now, don't worry. Arey sir, what are you telling? And user defined data type. So broadly, three classification is there. Inside primitive data type, we have various types of data type. For example, we could have int or integer. We could have character. We could have floating point. We could have void. For example, inside derive, again, there is a sub-classification. Sir, we have arrays, we have pointers, then we have string. We will discuss everything in detail, but in this chapter, I am going to cover only primitive data type. As the syllabus will goes on, we will automatically cover derived data type as well as user-defined data type in coming chapters. So as of now, we will discuss primitive data type. Sir, what about user-defined data type? Again, there is a sub-classification. And what about them? Sir, user-defined data type, we have union, we have structure, we have enumerators, and we have type def. Please take a screenshot and don't worry about that. Sir, what is this? It is too much scary. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I am going to cover each and everything in depth unless you will be satisfied. So data type, this is broad classification of data type in three categories: primitive data type, derived data type, user-defined data type. Within primitive data type, int, char, float, and even we are worried only about this. This void we will discuss in functions. So don't worry about that. What about this? We will discuss in next chapters, coming chapters, these category. Okay. I hope a classification, from classification point of view, you get to know everything over here. Okay. So that's all about this lecture. We will meet in next lecture. Till then, bye bye. Take care.